Session 7, economic conditions due to currency wars and financial uncertainties and generational cycles. This is a really interesting area. What we're talking about here are things that are happening around the world now, generational cycles. Now, in my family, I'm what's called a baby boomer. I was born somewhere between 1945 and 1965, in that 20-year gap. Then between 65 and about 1980 was Gen X. My oldest son was born then. Then 80 to about 1990 is Gen Y. My young son was born then. So when my two sons and I get together around the coffee table and we're chatting about things, we actually represent 3 different generations. And we all see the world very dissimilarly to each other. We see the world differently. Now, there's another thing that's coming into this now, which is called the first turning, the second turning, the third turning, and the fourth turning. You can go online and Google fourth turning. In fact, pause the, don't you pause it, pause the video and you do it right now. Google fourth turning and see if you can find reviews on the fourth turning, because this is an issue that Donald Trump is working on right now, the fourth turning. In other words, great catastrophes happening in the world to change a lot of things that have happened at a certain period of time. I don't know what it is, 60, 70, 80 years or whatever. Every cycle, every time, it's called the fourth turning. So this is something that's happening right now. Now again, these click-through points here are talking about currency wars, talking about generational cycles, what happens between different generations. My father's generation was way back into the first half of this last century. He saw the world very, very differently to what I saw the world. His father, who was born in 1880 or something, saw the world from horse and carts. In other words, we've seen the world change drastically. When I was born, the world had about 2.5 billion people. Today there's 7.5 billion people. Now, that's a massive change in my lifetime, massive change. Will that change going forward from 2020? I believe it will, and I'm not going to predict what I think it will be. That's up for you to think about now as to what you think will happen after 2020, because there will be massive changes.